India, out of 4 women, 3 will face violence. We face violence from childhood. I came from a middle class family and a very protected sort of a family. I didn't come from a family which suffers from poverty, but a family suffering from poverty faces more violence. But what I want to tell you is that even when I was a young girl, I was 6 years old, and me and my sister and art teacher, he was a 60-year-old man, very renowned man, came to teach us art. I mean, I was sexually abused by him, and I was threatened by him that you cannot tell anyone. In India, hitting a wife is not an uncommon phenomena, you know. And when I mean, it's a part of a culture. So it's not that it happens in every home, but it's quite common. Violence is rhythmic. When your mother is being hit, and a child is observing that, it has profound impact on him. He will either be an abuser when he grows up, or he will be totally against it. But there's a chance of him to become an abuser. It's always the women who is at fault. For example, I'm giving an example. If you're wearing clothes, which is, they will say the clothes are provoking. But there are women in a country who are all covered, the Muslim women, they're also getting raped. So yeah, the thing is, it's not that India doesn't have laws. They have a lot of noble laws, but it's the mindset, it's the culture, it's the culture of violence. I will say the Church of North India is quite liberated, because women, I am a product of, because of my church. Our theology plays a role. In one day we cannot change the mindset. Women are the backbone of Indian churches, but they're not in the decision-making process. So the main reason what World India Council of Christian Women was formed was to bring the women's leaders in the forefront of the ecumenical movement. We have gone through a paradigm shift. Before we were only working with women, but now the men-women partnership to overcome violence with women. One of our partners, co-partners, he was a male, and he preached in the church on Jesus type of masculinity. You know, so AICC also is promoting in masculinity, which is positive masculinity. In India, we do have a lot of women who are police, and they also, within the hierarchical societal structure, must be facing a lot of discrimination within their own system. So we wanted to acknowledge their contributions. So women of the Women's Fellowship went in the city of Nagpur to different police stations to honor them on the Women's Day, and then we had a chance to dialogue even with the male police officers, like how to make the police stations very women friendly when they come to report for violence or domestic violence or sexual harassment or any form of violence, because we always have a fear that our police may not, we have instances where women has gone to report and our police stations are not very women friendly. In fact, they were more harassed. It's not that violence wasn't there. Violence was always there, but what is now we are seeing is that one hand, women are empowered, but at the same time, empowerment is leading to further oppression of women, because women are going out of their home. So before they were only oppressed within their home. Now when they're out, they're oppressed within their workplace, by the other structures and of the society. Violence is very much within the church. I had priest's wife who were coming to me, sending me message in the Facebook, in the night I want to commit suicide. So then I cannot meet them in the church, so I have to go out of the church to meet them and talk to them. So it's so ingrained. If you ask every woman, whether it's a bishop's wife or whether it's a woman in power or whether it's a woman in poverty, each have their stories of violence and pain. When we are alone, we are not powerful, but when we strategize, we had been able to deal with this sort of a thing. It's always a struggle because always I'm labeled as the fighter woman, you know. So even when you're strong and bold, you're labeled and you're stigmatized. I sometimes felt that if I kept quiet, I would have faced violence. Nowadays, we are talking a lot about overcoming violence, and the church is organizing programs to empower women and men regarding how to overcome violence. But most of the time, what we don't do is heal the survivors, okay, through trauma counseling or the healing the memories of pain. And unless you heal the memories of pain, you know, it's very difficult for a woman to survive. I always tell my colleagues when they cry, you don't feel ashamed to cry, because your tears are tears of healing, a catharsis process, and your tears are power. So cry. Cry for justice. Cry for peace. Cry to bring about change.